Yuxiu's Daydream. Yuxiu sat behind a big scale. Once she was free, she was still worried about Guozuo. She didn't know how he was doing outside alone. What she thought about most was, of course, that afternoon. That thing actually didn't matter to Yuxiu. She had slept with so many men anyway, so she didn't care about another. What made Yuxiu sad was Guozuo's leaving. He shouldn't have left in such a hurry, so suddenly, without even a message, as if Yuxiu was clinging to him and wouldn't let go. This broke Yuxiu's heart. After all, Yuxiu was also a smart person. Even if Guozuo was willing, Yuxiu could not agree. A piece of shit should still have this level of cautiousness. How can you entangle him? Don't even think about it. What made Yuxiu most uncomfortable was that Yuxiu misses Guozuo. At first, she missed him in her mind, but after a few days, it suddenly turned into missing in her body. Yuxiu herself felt strange. She was originally afraid of that thing, but after experiencing Guozuo for such a long time, how could she have liked it instead? She even seemed to be addicted. The longer time passed, the more special this thinking became, and the more fierce it became. It was even a bit heartbreaking. But where was Guozuo? Yuxiu lay on the bed, turning over and over. She had no choice but to pick up the pillow and put it on her body, which made her feel more at ease. Still not fulfilled. Yuxiu kept panting, thinking to herself she looked like such a slut. How could she be so shameless when she acted her cheap quality? On this night, Yuxiu thought new tricks and turned into thinking with her mouth. The trick was also special because she was very craving. Crazy craving. She wished she could put a handful of salt in her mouth. Yuxiu had to get up and really took a bite of salt. It was so salty that she couldn't breathe, but it couldn't satisfy her craving. Yuxiu had no choice but to open the cupboard and look for it carefully. There was nothing to eat, just garlic, green onion, soy sauce, vinegar, MSG, and sesame oil. After choosing for a long time, Yuxiu picked up the vinegar bottle. As soon as Yuxiu picked up the vinegar bottle, a lot of saliva was secreted from her mouth. Yuxiu took a small sip gently. This sip was invigorating and sour to the pit of her stomach. It particularly relieved her cravings. Her whole body was filled with the comfort and joy that comes from solving a problem. Yuxiu raised her neck and took a big mouthful. Glue! She took another big mouthful. Yuxiu thought it seemed that she was not only a slut, but also a greedy cat. No wonder the old people in one village said, "Men's poverty and women's loose belts are both because of greedy." But Yuxiu never knew the secret inside her body. Yuxiu was convinced that she was already in the 3rd month of pregnancy after amenorrhea, which was already mid-October. After all, Yuxiu was young, her reactions of joy were not serious, and her time was short. In addition, she had just arrived at the grain purchasing station to work, so she was busy and ignored it. It stands to reason that Yuxiu should have been alert in the 1st month of amenorrhea. But at that time, Yuxiu could only think about Guozuo, whispering to him in her heart, quarreling with Guozuo, reconciling, and quarreling again. All she had was the daydream about Guozuo. She just forgot about herself. She remembered it in the 2nd month, but then she saw that she was raped by so many men in the spring and it was okay. This time, it was Guozuo alone. So, of course, there would be no problem. There is strength in numbers, and no matter how, Guozuo would not be more powerful than so many people. Nothing would happen. Relaxed. Feeling relieved, Yuxiu also coquettishly told herself that it would be better to have a little Guozuo. and happened to go to the provincial capital to find him. Being so coquettish made her Yuxiu feel better. There were so many doubts, but Yuxiu firmly believed it was okay and would definitely come back in a few days. But the third month, 5 or 6 days had passed, and Yuxiu finally felt a little uneasy, but she still expected some luck. Until Yuxiu confirmed that she was pregnant, Yuxiu was afraid, but at the same time, she still felt lucky. No worries, it would be fine, and maybe it would drop by itself in a few days. Although saying that, Yuxiu was actually very worried every day, as if she had broken a leg, and every step she took was deep and shallow. In mid-October, Yuxiu became a little anxious. Yuxiu had to plan carefully for herself. The key to the key was not to let Yumi know. If Yumi knew about it, she would be dead. There was only one way out: quickly getting the thing out of her belly. The best way was certainly to go to the hospital. However, after going to the hospital, things would eventually come to light. This would be the same as not going, which is worse than not going. Yuxiu began to think about solutions on her own. Yuxiu decided to jump. When she was in one village, Wang Jinlong's wife had a miscarriage because she jumped when quarreled with her mother-in-law. Jinlong slapped her buttocks in the courtyard, jumped and cursed, and then, with an ouch, it dropped. Yuxiu thought, then jump. Yuxiu did it. When she had some free time, she would hide in a nobody place, find a piece of cement floor, and jump 40 or 50 times in one breath. Later, it grew to 70 or 80, and then it grew to 170 or 80, jumping as high as possible, and then again. She jumped for more than 10 days in a row and increased her appetite, but there was no movement at all. Yuxiu thought it seemed like she still had to slap her butt. Yuxiu tried Wang Jinlong's wife's method 4 or 5 times and was completely disappointed with the shrew's behavior. Yuxiu could only make other plans. Then she remembered that Zhang Fagen's wife also had a miscarriage. It was a fluke, and she took the medicine from the cooperative medical system, which depleted her good belly. It had been 3.5 months. The barefoot doctor said that it must be the quinoline tablets treating malaria. The medicine bottle clearly stated, not suitable for pregnancies. Yuxiu's problem was now simple. It was easy to find quinoline tablets. Quinoline tablets were commonly used medicines. Yuxiu still put a lot of effort into finding them. She made a lot of big sisters and aunts friends. It took her 4 or 5 days to finally find them. Yuxiu went to work early in the morning and took the medicine bottle. This time she felt relieved and the problem was solved. Yuxiu sneaked into the public toilet, poured a handful, and put it in her mouth. Because of no water, she couldn't swallow them. She had to chew them dry. Yuxiu cracked and cracked, like a mouthful of fried broad beans. It was so bitter to chew that she almost shed tears. Yuxiu stretched her neck and swallowed it in one. After taking this gulp, Yuxiu finally felt at ease and was quite happy. She sat back behind the scale and chatted and laughed with others. The medical properties took effect within the time of a cigarette. Yuxiu's lips turned purple and her eyes slowly blurred. She looked like a black chicken whose neck couldn't support her head and fell in all directions. Yuxiu's mind was not confused yet. She was worried that people around her would send her to the hospital, so she stood up with a smile. Yuxiu walked to the warehouse alone. When she approached the warehouse, Yuxiu couldn't hold on. Yuxiu held onto the wall and slowly touched it in. She struggled to climb up the grain pile and fell asleep as soon as she fell. Yuxiu slept in the warehouse until dark, having countless weird dreams. Yuxiu dreamed that she cut open her stomach and took out her intestines. Yuxiu wrapped her intestines around her neck, squeezed it bit by bit, and squeezed out one of Guozuo's fingers. Yuxiu squeezed again and got another one. A total of 9 fingers were squeezed out. Yuxiu held up her fingers and said, "Guozuo, they're all yours. Put them on." Guozuo looked at them, picked out one, and screwed it into his hand. Guozuo's hand actually lacked only this one. Yuxiu looked at the 8 extra fingers in her hand and thought, how come there are extra fingers? How could there be more? Yuxiu was very embarrassed to explain. Guozuo just looked at her and said nothing. Yuxiu was anxious. Yuxiu suddenly woke up from her dream because of her anxiety, and Guozuo was really standing in front of her. Yuxiu breathed a sigh of relief and was very happy. She jumped up and down and said to Guozuo, "You're finally back! I dreamed of you! I just dreamed of you!" Actually, it's still in a dream.